Hey,
Great.
everybody. Welcome to a special live edition of the Jim Acosta Show. I'm with Maritza Giorgio, who is live in Minneapolis right now. She's at the scene of the shooting that took place earlier today, where federal agents shot and killed a man, a 37-year-old man who is a Minneapolis resident, according to authorities. Maritza, you're there on the scene. I don't want to take up too much time explaining what happened because you're there. Tell us what happened. What do you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw these videos this morning, Jim. I was landing in Minneapolis, and I got a
Yeah.
text message saying another person was shot by ICE. And so we just saw that first initial video. And now, as you've mentioned, more people have been showing new videos, new angles, as we saw with what happened with Renee Good here in Minneapolis just a couple weeks ago. So I just got down to the scene. I mean, I should mention my nose is going to be running because it's 4 below 0
Oh
actual
my
temperature
gosh.
right now. And these streets are packed. I'm going to turn this around and kind of show you where I'm at. So we're right here at 26th and Nicollet. And you can see, I'll try to stand on my toes, but a lot of people gathered here in this intersection where this happened this morning. And
Wow.
this right here, I mean, Nicollet Avenue, there's like a 17 stretch of block here known as Eat Street. This is a melting pot of
Mm.
this Minneapolis community where you can come down here and basically and it kind of culture that you are looking for, right? There are Hmong restaurants, there are Greek restaurants, there are Ethiopian restaurants, Somalian restaurants. But if you go down here, I mean, these protesters are down here for blocks and blocks. I know that they were using tear gas quite a bit. You can still smell it in the air. One of the longtime local anchors here at Care 11, Jana Shortle, actually got hit earlier, and she was clearly wearing press credentials. They're out here in the middle chanting "Fuck ICE," and you
Hmm.
can see all these signs. There's one over here that says 6 versus 1, and they still used a gun.
Wow.
So many people down here, though. It took us quite a while to get in. My girlfriend actually owns property just about a half block away from this intersection, and all of these streets were blocked by Minneapolis police cars, actually. And just to get in here, I mean, all of these cross streets are filled with people. The corners are filled with people. Everyone has whistles. Really, just this community coming out together to look out for one another.
Yeah, Maritza, and I should tell everybody that Minneapolis authorities are having a press conference or just wrapped up a press conference, or they may still be in the middle of it. But the mayor of Minneapolis said just a short while ago, "quote How many more Americans need to die?" That was from Mayor Jacob Fry. And Maritza, we're not going to show the videos here. People can find them on their social media accounts. But there was a video that just came out in the last hour or so that seemed to really indicate that this man posed no threat to the officers, and they just unloaded their weapons on him and killed him in the street. I'm wondering what you're hearing from people down there.
Well, everybody is saying that, and I think that the big conversation here, like I said, we're still waiting for a lot of details. But when you watch the video that I saw, the very first video, I mean, there are so many shots that you hear fired. And I know that the feds, that the administration is trying to spin this that he had a gun. But the second video, it looks what I saw was him helping a woman, another woman
Yeah.
pushed to the ground. And then they had him detained on the ground with multiple officers.
Right.
And then I saw an officer clearly hit him in the head, and then we saw the shots. So there's going to be a lot of analysis on this. I've been traveling, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and fully watch this frame by frame. But people up here, they are so, the emotions are so raw, Jim. This neighborhood has been through so much. You talk about George Floyd. You talk about what happened here, 5.5 years ago, and this everybody here, they feel like, how much more can they go through? What comes
Yeah.
next? What comes tomorrow? This happened today. What are we going to wake up to tomorrow in this community?
Mm.
It's heartbreaking. My friend who's here, I grew up here. I grew up in St. Louis Park, and I'm with my
Wow.
girlfriend who we've known each other since grade school. And like I said, she has property here just a half block away. And she's just saying it took so much to recover from what we saw during George Floyd. and the riots after that. And it took so much for the community to rebound, not just financially, but morale. And this is just it's just another period of grief that the city is going through, and we don't know what comes tomorrow.
Yeah. No, and according to the Minneapolis police chief, he says, "I think the video speaks for itself." He was a 37-year-old white resident with a permit to carry, and as, folks are mentioning in the comments, I've seen the video too, you've seen the video, and of course, we have to wait for all the facts to come in and so on. It looks as though the weapon, the gun that they're saying he had was taken away. In addition to that, he was pepper sprayed in the face and appeared to be subdued before they started shooting him. And so it looked
By
like they
multiple agents.
by multiple agents. It was like target practice on somebody lying on the ground. And, there are multiple people, that I've been speaking with who have been in and out of the federal government who've looked at this and have said this is murder, that they murdered him. And of course, we have to wait for all the facts to come in and all the video angles and everything else. But I mean, this just looks like he was shot dead in the street, and he was, according to the video from the so-called woman in pink that I think we both saw, it
Yeah.
looks as though he was there to observe or document, and, if he's just somebody there to observe and document, what's going on here? What's the threat?
Well, and that's what we've seen, right?
Yeah,
That's what the friends and family of Renee Good said, that she was
yeah,
there to observe and document. We've seen there was this image just from a couple of days ago, the protester already subdued, already on the ground, and one of these agents just walked up to him and just let off a spray of irritant in his face.
right,
So there's an aggression that is unpredictable. Like I said, Jana Shortle, longtime Care 11 personality, journalist, news anchor, highly respected. She was gassed today, and she was wearing full press credentials that were clear. So people are not okay here. And landing in Minneapolis right after this happened, it was just it's just so somber. It's just so somber. And it's, again, what comes next.
exactly. And according to some of the reporting that's starting to come out, is that this man was an ICU nurse. There's an Associated Press report saying that he was an ICU nurse, and so this is somebody, who obviously comes from the community. There are a lot of folks there in Minneapolis who are, outraged over what's been going on, and they're going around and trying to document this stuff, blow whistles and so on.
Yeah.
And Maritza, you were saying you're from that area. I can't imagine being from that area and just seeing your hometown, your home area just getting torn apart like this.
Well, it is, and it's hard to explain. I mean, you don't want to see this happening anywhere, but when you know these streets and you know these communities and you see people you recognize in photos, it's heartbreaking. And I think that's the other thing for this community. Somebody asked me today about a neighborhood in California. Is it safe? And I said, they had heard some bad things about this neighborhood, and I said, well, if you ask people around the country right now, they would hear bad things about Minneapolis. And we know that's not true. And the image that's trying to be painted of Minneapolis, where I grew up, it's just, you can see here how many people are so engaged and they care so
Yeah,
much about what is happening. I'm just walking through this crowd here. But
yeah,
then you compare what we saw happen this morning at this intersection with 50,000 people hitting the streets, flooding the streets peacefully in Minneapolis yesterday to try to
right.
just come together. This community, as much as they don't want to have had to rally together in the past 6 years, they know how to do it. And this is not a community that's just going to sit back and not come out. Like I said, it's 4 below 0 right now, and these streets are flooded with people. Not just this street, not just Nicollet Avenue, all of the nearby cross streets.
Wow. And, it just seems to me, and this is about 2 weeks after the killing of Renee Good. And ever since, I mean, even before the killing of Renee Good, but even since, they've doubled down on these tactics. We've seen people getting roughed up, thrown to the ground, pepper sprayed in the face. We saw the man from the Hmong community pulled out of his
Yes.
house, in his boxer shorts. It's just crazy, and it looks like the guy had a camera, and I mean, I don't understand
Yes.
that he had his phone out and he was recording it, and it's like one of the things I've been seeing lately, Maritza, is that they seem to want to stop people from documenting what they're doing, and so I'm wondering if that was part of the motivation for their excessive what apparent excessive force here.
Well, yeah, we've seen that trend, and I've seen clips where ICE officers have said, "Haven't you learned?" And "What do you think is going to happen?" Or "It's illegal. You can't take video of us." Jim, our mutual friend Liz Oyer, she was on our show Grounded last week, or maybe two
Yeah,
weeks ago now, and we talked about this. We clarified this, and you and I know in journalism, if you're on a public street, you can take video. If you are on a public street and you are within your legal rights
right.
to take video, it's when you're on private property that that changes. So there is so much intimidation happening, and they want people to stop shining a light on what's happening. This city is not going to do that.
Yeah. And it's so cold where you are right now. I mean, I know Minnesotans are hardy folk, but I mean, for folks to get out there in this kind of weather and protest and document, I mean, the video, the images from yesterday when everybody flooded the streets there, it's inspiring to see in light of what's going on, all this abuse that's going on, that people are still taking to the streets and pushing, not pushing back physically, but saying that this cannot stand.
Yeah, and I don't see them stopping. And of course, we want things to be done peacefully, as our state and city leaders have said.
Yeah.
Go out and do this the Minnesota way, be peaceful. But I don't think any kind of weather is going to deter the people of the Minneapolis metro area and beyond. I mean, there are people all across the state who came down for that protest yesterday, and probably from out of state too, I would venture to guess. But the thing is, this isn't just happening down here in Minneapolis. There's a town called
Mm,
Wilmer, Minnesota. It's in west central Minnesota, about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of the Twin Cities. And there have been so many ICE raids there in that
mm.
community of, these immigrant populations. And as you know, Jim, as has been reported with that little boy that broke all of our hearts, Liam
Oh,
Ramos.
little Liam. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get his face out of my head, and I don't want to, because we need to show what is happening. And all of, the superintendent of Leo Ramos's school said that
Yeah.
family was doing everything right. They had the paperwork to seek asylum. And so this is just, there just doesn't seem to be rhyme or reason to it, other than very aggressive tactics that we're seeing.
And this is what the Associated Press is saying right now. Federal immigration officers shot and killed a man in Minneapolis, drawing hundreds of protesters in a city already shaken by another fatal shooting weeks earlier. The police chief said it was a 37-year-old man who was killed. The man was identified by his parents as Alex Preddy, an intensive care unit nurse. So the parents have identified the victim to the Associated Press. He's been identified as 37-year-old Alex Preddy. And we're not gonna show the video here, folks can find it on social media and so on, but, I mean, Maritza, when I look at the video from all of the different angles, and people I don't understand why ICE doesn't understand this, or maybe they do understand this, and they want this fear to be spread far and wide, but everybody has a phone, and every time they do this, every time one of these things
Right.
happens, there are gonna be videos from multiple angles showing what
Right.
occurred.
And we heard, there were rumblings going around, and I have not seen this confirmed, but we heard that immediately some of those witnesses were detained. And I need to confirm that, Jim. But I heard that pretty from quite a few sources that was happening. We were. It's been reported through the Star Tribune, the local newspaper here. Make sure you support your local news, folks. That Minneapolis police officers were told to leave the scene. Basically, I'll tell
Yeah.
you, there are Minneapolis police squad cars all around this neighborhood right now. They are here.
I just, at some point, um, we've got to search for some answers here as to how to stop, the administration from doing this. They just had a vote on a DHS funding bill. 7 Democrats voted to continue to fund the DHS basically as it's been operating right now. I don't. I mean, I don't mind being opinionated these days, as you know, Maritza. I don't understand. I don't understand a vote like that, I'll be really honest with you. I know the Republicans feel like they can't cross Trump or else they'll get primaried and so on. I mean, if that's how you wanna go out in this world, as somebody who just doesn't wanna cross Trump, I guess that's how it goes, but for the 7 Democrats who had the ability to stop some of this, it just boggles the mind, but Maritza, I mean, tell me about some of the people in the crowd there. It may be difficult from a technical standpoint to actually interview them live, but it just seems to me there's really an outpouring of support in this community right now.
100%. I mean, there are
Yeah.
people handing out whistles, Jim. There's some donuts from Glam Doll here. This is a very popular Twin Cities donut restaurant here, Glam Doll. Looks like they have a lot of customers here today supporting this local business. I saw a clergyman out here. He's live streaming. I've seen, guys who would appear to be kind of rough and tumble, probably like motorcycle guys is how I would describe them. They're out here. I mean, I see young women. Of all ages. I see just tons and tons of people. Everyone's out here. They're braving the cold. They're bundled up. But you can see I'm kind of up on a snowbank here. This
Yeah.
goes on for blocks and blocks and blocks.
And you're
And
kind of
again, this is
right. Yeah, you're kind of right at the spot where it happened. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. Oh, you're not interrupting. This is again just for people who don't know this area. We're on Nicollet Avenue. This is called Eat Street. Several city blocks of really wonderful cuisine, locally owned. You can come down here and find um, food from all kinds of cultures from all over the world. And certainly, this area has been very targeted by these
Mm,
raids. I see over there an upside down American flag, sign of
mm,
distress.
exactly.
Everyone has signs. They came prepared. And
And
I didn't. I got dropped off here from my friend's car, and
I
so
know.
I just landed, like I said, not very long ago. But I have microphones and stuff, Jim. I'll be here for a few days. I'm happy to come out and
Yeah.
interview people when I have all my gear and we're more equipped. But we wanted to just get on and kind of show everyone what is happening today.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us. I noticed some of the people around you, just as you were showing the video, people wearing ski goggles, ski
Oh yeah.
mask goggles, because
And
they want.
right here, let me flip this around. I have
Yeah.
someone with a gas mask here. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can smell the chemicals in the air. They were
Wow.
definitely deploying gas earlier. I know some of my friends here in local news had to leave because it filled the air so much, and you can still smell it. There's a camera operator with a full gas mask on. So
Mm,
there's a lot going on. But here's another example. This guy has hand warmers. People are really
mm.
taking care of each other. I saw a wagon with water and snacks. Again, this is a community that takes care of each other. And growing up here, that's how I grew up. You take care of your neighbor. You care about other people. You do what you can to help, and that's what we're seeing down here this afternoon at the intersection of 26th and Nicollet.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Maritza. I'll let you go get warm or whatever you have to do. Go gather information and thank you so much for coming on. And I just noticed, I looked at my weather app, it's -3 where you are right now. So please be safe. Please, take care of yourself, Maritza. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thanks so much, Jim.
All right. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too.
Oh, boy. My friend Maritza Giorgio, veteran journalist, great reporter, just absolutely does a fantastic job. And she just did a terrific job there, laying out the scene as it stands right now on the streets of Minneapolis. As I was just telling you a few moments ago, the Associated Press is reporting that the man who was shot and killed by ICE, by those federal agents there, I guess we don't know the exact agencies that carried out this killing. He's been identified as a 37-year-old man, a white man who had a permit to carry a firearm, and that he's been identified by his parents as Alex Preddy, and that he was an intensive care unit nurse. This happened just earlier today in Minneapolis, about 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks after the killing of 37-year-old Renee Good. Renee Good was 37. This man was 37. Folks, we need to say their names. We need to say Renee Good's name. We need to say Alex Preddy's name. And I think the question needs to be asked. And, you know, I question needs to be asked, what are we gonna do about this, folks? What can we do? What more can we do? You saw the outpouring of support on the streets of Minneapolis yesterday. You saw tens of thousands of people filling the streets of Minneapolis. Um, just a community that has been traumatized by this administration, by this White House, by this president, by Stephen Miller, by Kristi Noem, by the Department of Homeland Security, by their fellow Americans. This is American on American violence. It is American on American violence. And from what I can tell, in the case of Renee Good, that was a murder. And what I can tell in this case, this very much looks to me to be yet another murder in the streets of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And uh, yeah, I cannot for the life of me understand if you're a Democrat in Congress and you have the ability to vote up or down on a piece of legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security, how in God's name can you vote to continue to fund this department? How can you vote to continue to fund ICE and these murders? At what point does it stop? And it seems to me that, the Democrats, they need to have a soul searching moment here. It's not enough. And I saw somebody on video somewhere saying, well, this person's in this swing district and that person's in that swing district, and so on and so forth. This is about what is in here. This is about what is in here. The heart of this country. And it seems to me these lawmakers, these politicians need to think less about their political future and more about all of our futures. And it seems to me that that is not what is happening right now. It's just not happening. And so Donald Trump, um, we have to be very careful with this character. We have to be careful with this dictator wannabe. He came back from Davos with his tail between his legs. He tried to bully the world. It didn't work out. He had his ass handed to him yet again. And I said this on the show the other day, and I'll say it again. He is probably looking for a way to vent these frustrations. And he's going to look for a way to change the narrative. He's going to look for a way to change the story on Fox, on his conservative media sycophantic outlets. And the protesters need to understand, as frustrating as this is, as god awful as this is, um, we have to be careful that you don't give them the spark, because what Donald Trump is likely to do, and he may already be in the process of making this decision as we speak, they are looking for a reason to invoke the Insurrection Act. They are looking for that spark so they can invoke the Insurrection Act and send these thugs into the streets en masse. And it seems to me that is giving them what they want. And what needs to happen, I think, at this point is strategic pushback, strategic protesting, strategic demonstration. Maybe it is a national walkout. Maybe it is something along those lines. Maybe it is an overwhelming presence on the streets in Washington, D.C. surrounding the White House. Maybe it's time for people to take to the streets outside the White House to protest peacefully, to follow the law. But at some point, there needs to be collective action on the part of the people. And we need somebody to come forward on the side of pro-democracy forces Whether that person be a Democrat, independent, Republican, I don't care. It needs to be somebody. Somebody needs to come forward and say, or a group of people. We need our friends over at Indivisible, a group of people to say, now is the time. Now is the time to take to the streets and show this rogue administration that you can't just shoot people in the street, that you can't just murder American citizens in the streets. I'm willing to be one of those voices. Are you? I'm willing to be one of those voices. Are you? It is time, it seems to me, for this rogue administration to understand, for this rogue White House to understand that they don't rule over us. They've got it. They've got it ass backwards. They don't rule over us. We rule over them. We, the people, are in charge of this country. We, the people, call the shots. Not Stephen Miller, not the thugs at ICE, not uh, Seacott Barbie Christy Nome, not Pam Bondi. And it just seems to me that we've got a major problem on our hands, folks. I'm going to see if I can. Let me see if I can send an invitation to my friend Nick Valencia. My friend Nick Valencia is there on the scene as well. And folks, just give me a little bit of time to figure this out. It's my producer Matt's birthday today, and we'll be celebrating his birthday soon. But he's tied up getting things going here, and so I'm kind of running this thing solo here on the Substack app. And we'll put this video out on other places later, so people can see it on other places later. But to our Substack community, I'm deeply appreciative of you for joining us. I've just told Nick Valencia, who I believe is still on the scene there, to go ahead and join us if he can. Just sent you the invite on Substack. We'll see if Nick Valencia hops on here. It looks like Governor Walz of Minnesota has called on the National Guard to assist in calming the situation there in Minneapolis. Governor Walz is in a tough spot. He and the mayor of Minneapolis have both made it very clear and sent the message to Donald Trump that ICE is no longer welcome in Minneapolis. And, I'm a little worried that that Tim Walz is in a no-win scenario here. I don't believe in the no-win scenario. But I believe he's very close to a no-win scenario. He probably needs to call out the National Guard for two reasons. One is obviously to maintain peace on the streets, if that's at all possible at this point. We want it to be possible. We want it to happen that way. But if there's any way to have these National Guard soldiers on the streets to protect the people of Minneapolis, my God, isn't that the reason why we have a National Guard in this country, to protect the people? And so I've sent a message out to Nick Valencia to see if he can join us. But it just seems to me that we're now in a position where every Democrat in Congress, every pro-democracy Democrat, and if there's a Republican out there who wants to have a change of heart, my God, we'll welcome you into the tent too. We'll welcome you into the pro-democracy tent too. But it seems to me this is a moment where every Democrat in Congress must rise up. Every Democratic governor across the country must rise up and say, no further. This stops. This ends. Every possible piece of leverage that every Democrat has across the country must rise up and say, no more of this. This cannot happen anymore. Somebody did mention just a few moments ago in the chat here, and I can see all the chats, that the Supreme Court has a hand in this too. Hey, there's my friend Nick Valencia in Minneapolis right now. Nick, it's good to see you. How are you? I'm sure you had to.
Hey Jim, I'm doing well. I'm trying to recover after getting gassed a couple times by
oh my God
the feds. It was pretty intense out there. It's calmed down. We've taken a little bit of a break just to get a snack, so I'm stepping outside. But
good.
It's active out there.
I saw some of your great video. I saw some of your great reporting. You were there almost when it happened. Is that right? Tell us what you remember happening. I know it's been a day for you.
Yeah, I was. I was there probably within 15, 20 minutes after the shooting. And in
Wow.
fact, at one point while I was out there reporting, I was the only journalist behind police lines, and the FBI, four different agents stopped me to question me, thinking that I'd actually witnessed the shooting. Once they realized I hadn't, they let me go. I guess I was briefly detained by them for questioning. But what I saw, I could only speak to what happened afterwards. And it was an incredibly tense atmosphere. There was demonstrators who have been just traumatized by this federal immigration operation, the largest one in Trump's, in the history of America. And the trauma is so evident. Yet another person killed, in their eyes, murdered, and they came out of the streets very quickly. And they effectively sort of cordoned off an area, blocking in a cornucopia of law enforcement agencies. It really was, who wasn't out there? It was FBI, it was HSI, all sorts of federal agencies. And part of what they were frustrated at was the appearance as though the local and state police were protecting the feds
Mm,
from yet another fatal shooting. And at that point, we saw some water bottles, frozen water bottles, glass bottles used. They deployed chemical irritants. We were hit multiple times, and that dispersed the crowd, but it only riled people up. Eventually, the feds did leave, but not before they tear gassed more protesters. At this point, about a mile away from where I'm at, there is where this shooting happened. It has
mm.
been taken over by demonstrators entirely, and they plan on being out there all night.
Yeah, and Nick, I mean, you and I have both seen the video too,
Yeah.
the videos, I should say. There's the
Yeah.
original, and I know it's so cold out there, so just say when you got to go back inside. Completely understand. There was the original video, which was a little difficult to see exactly what was taking place on the ground, but then there's the additional video. We're not going to show it here from the so-called woman in pink that you can see the man had clearly been subdued. The 37-year-old man who was shot and killed clearly was subdued, and there may have been a gun pulled away from him. Minnesota authorities say he had a license to carry, and then they just shot him. I mean, he'd been pepper sprayed and subdued, and they shot him.
Yeah, what we saw unfold was basically an observer, a community resident. They started seeing ICE activity, federal immigration officers out there blowing their whistle. And then a woman was pushed to the ground. Alex Preddy, who's the victim in this shooting, he came to the defense of this woman. What ended up transpiring was eventually he was taken to the ground. And at one point in the video, you see an officer, what appears, to remove a firearm from his waistband, and then they open fire on him, Jim, while he is on the ground. It begs
Yes.
the question what kind of threat he was, even if he was resisting. They had removed, it appears, his firearm. He was also legally allowed to carry that. Having said that, there's a lot of people here, they're not splitting hairs about what they see and what they're saying they saw. They think they saw a murder on film, which is why the streets are packed out with demonstrators right now.
Yeah, and he was there observing. It looked like he had his phone out to document this.
That's right.
That's all legally protected, constitutionally protected activity, and they just don't seem to understand that at ICE. And a part of this looks like they were trying to stop these observers from documenting what was going on, and that seems to be escalating, I think, in Minneapolis too, and among the ICE agents, in that they don't want regular citizens documenting this stuff, and they're getting rough with just people who are pulling out their phones and trying to get video.
I'm so grateful that you brought that up because
Yeah.
I don't think it was a coincidence that our live shut down. The power ended. Our live wasn't able to
Wow.
save. We saw this great video that a lot of people were watching while we were out there, including yourself. Thankfully, some people screen recorded it, but
Good.
that's something that people are considering here. It's as if they don't want any recording or evidence of this at all. You heard Border Patrol Commander Greg Vivino come out and say that they were responding to a riot. What riot? We saw what we're seeing with our own eyes. It's like they're effectively gaslighting us, Jim, and telling us what we're seeing is not the reality and to believe what they're saying rather than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, they are trying to gaslight us. They're tear gassing us and they're gaslighting us.
That's right.
And it just seems to me that they're just way in over their heads and just trigger happy. I mean, this
Well,
is
they're
only 2
operating
weeks.
above the
Yeah.
law, and part of this is incompetence, but part of this is also a lack of training and being underqualified and set out there into these scenarios. This community, looking at people in their eyes, they have PTS. I've had
Yeah.
PTSD from the stuff that I've covered as a correspondent. The mannerisms, their fast cadence of speech, the lack of sleep in their eyes, just how
Yeah.
they move. It is so evident that this large scale operation has had an impact on everyone. And then now they wake up on their Saturday to yet another killing. of yet another
Yeah.
one of their citizens here who's out there in their legal capacity to be able to document the feds. You can go out there and document this. You can record. And it's so hard to make the argument that they don't want us to do this when it seems that they're shutting down our lives while we're out there, going after people who are recording this. And thankfully they are, because where is the
Yeah.
accountability? You ask lawmakers and it's like, what are you guys doing right now? What are we supposed to do when our families are being persecuted? When it feels like we can't go to local law enforcement for help? What are we supposed to do?
That's right.
And these individuals, they're traumatized. They're at a loss. They feel like no one is helping them except for themselves. In Spanish, they say, solo el pueblo salva al pueblo. Only the people will help each other. And that is
Yeah.
the spirit that we're seeing out here. People are frustrated. They have a lack of confidence in the government. Now they have a lack of confidence in their local law enforcement, who they believe is on the side of the feds, who murdered another person, they think.
Yeah. And Nick, I mean, the cruelty is the point. The fear is the point.
Cruelty is the
This is
point.
just a couple days after little Liam was arrested. The 5-year-old boy Liam was arrested, and he's in jail.
Yeah.
They put a 5-year-old in jail. I mean, these are the people that we're talking about here, and it's about 2 weeks after the killing of Renee Good, which looked like a murder as well. And it just seems to me that they're out of control and they're running wild without any kind of oversight or accountability. And that is why you saw, tens of thousands of people on the streets of Minneapolis just yesterday. They've had it in this town.
More than 700 businesses took part in that general strike. There was tens of thousands of people out there. We were out there on the streets, and I'm so glad that you brought up Liam
Yeah.
Conejo Ramos. I was invited into his school by the principal at Valley View Elementary. If you want to go check out the report on nickvalencianews.com or just on our Instagram. You're a father,
Yeah.
Jim. I'm a father of an almost 5-year-old, and
Mm.
an 8-year-old. And I went in to see his empty locker and to see his little dinosaur
Oh,
stuff he left behind, his favorite blanket, to hear the stories of the students who are asking, am I next? Am I going to be taken next? Is this going to be my fate as well? You have teachers now walking students to the class, and they are at a loss themselves, Jim. I talked to a teacher who had a father taken, and they're deporting these people very fast. Within
yeah.
24 hours, they're in another state. And she was saying, what am I supposed to tell my kids who come to me and ask me, is this my fate next? I can't say in good faith that they're not going to be targeted next. And it's so evident, the trauma that these teachers, every single classroom in that school has been affected, 19, 20 families. Liam is just the latest.
Mm.
And a 5-year-old. I mean, we talked about how this has galvanized people who really didn't care that much, because I don't think they realized what they were dealing with. Seeing a 5-year-old, what kind of violent threat or what kind of threat to the
Nothing.
country is a 5-year-old? Nothing.
It's
Nothing.
disgusting. And I have
And
to think
thank
that
you.
those little 5-year-olds, his classmates are probably wondering, are the bad people gonna get me next? Are the bad people gonna grab me? And the bad people who are grabbing kids are government employees. They're paid for with our tax dollars. It's disgraceful.
It's a hard conversation for me to have at
Yeah.
home, because I know that you only get one childhood and you got to protect the innocence of your kids. But also, Jim, I was fucking terrified coming out here, man. Not
I'm
because
sure.
of the tense environment, but because of the color of my skin. How weird is
Yes.
that to say, that I'm driving around here and I was so scared that I picked a fight with my family before I came out here, because I was in fear. I was like, I'm going to be driving around here going into what seems like a police state. Part of what I wanted to show the people here in my audience and yours is that it's not everywhere. And sure, what we saw happen on 26 and Nicollet, it's not everywhere, but the ripples and the ramifications and the trauma is everywhere. And so
Yeah.
I'm telling my son, look, I want him to, look to police officers in case something happens. And I have to tell him, look, dad is scared because I am being targeted. People like us that have our color skin are being targeted by people who don't like us. These are not police officers. These are federal employees. And it's so hard to have this conversation, but it's so necessary, I think. I
Yeah.
believe this because, look, there's good people in this world and there's bad people in this world. And the bad people right now, in some cases, it feels like they're winning. When you're
Yeah.
abducting people off the street, we should be talking about amnesty. We should be talking about, if this was really just about going after this pendulum swing and this overcorrection of all these people that Biden supposedly let in, we would only be going after the people that Biden let in. We wouldn't be going after the grandmas, the people that have been here for 30, 40 years,
Right.
putting people through college. Cruelty is the point. Chaos
Yeah.
is the point. That's it.
That's it. That's exactly right. No, and they're grabbing, elderly men like the man from the Hmong community in St. Paul the other day. They bring him out in his boxer shorts. I mean, it's just absolutely disgraceful and
Now they're saying they
disgusting.
don't need a judicial warrant. They're saying that they're above the
That's right.
Constitution and that they are above the law. Where are all the people who say, don't tread on me? Where are all the people who say that they don't want the government, that they want small government? Where are
It's
all the
okay to them.
people?
It's okay to them if Donald Trump is doing it. I mean, that to me is what's happening. They have completely become hypocrites in all of this. They never believed it in the first place, and they've gotten a taste of authoritarianism. They've gotten a taste of fascism, and I've been saying this on my show, and I'll say it again. Fascism is contagious. When people get a taste of it, they want more. And it is a sickness in the head. It's a sickness of the mind. You can't treat other human beings in this fashion. Nick Valencia, you should not be afraid to go down the streets of Minneapolis and do your
I
job
know.
because of the color of your skin.
I
My
know, man.
God, what is happening to this country? And
And
you're
that's not
so
to be
right.
dramatic or poetic. It's real.
You're so right about this issue of they think they can just go into people's homes without a judicial warrant. It's totally nuts. And libertarians and MAGA Republicans and conservative Republicans, they used to trash all this shit when Obama was in the White House and Biden was in the White House. And they used to say, these are the guys who are going to come after us. Bullshit. uh, Obama and Biden respected civil liberties. There's no respect for civil liberties. It's completely out the window. But I mean, Nick, the other thing that we should point out, because you're downtown now and people are starting to join to the stream and so on, but you were there almost like 15 minutes or so after it happened. I saw your Instagram video earlier today. You were choking on the tear gas. They were trying to clear people from that area, what, a couple of hours ago.
Yeah,
And
they were
yeah,
gassing journalists, they were gassing anyone that was in their way, and that was their way to deal with trying to disperse the crowd. I was even roughed up, and at one point I got roughed up by a border patrol agent who took exception, even though the state police and the local police were allowing me to be behind the police line. I had my badge, I was clearly identifying myself. And even still, the Border Patrol, they roughed me up. All of that was on camera. They are not facing any sort of accountability. And thankfully, I was able to reason with them because every single one of these federal agents has discretion. They
yeah,
have the single-handed dictatorship that they could go anywhere and they use their discretion whether or not they want to take somebody into custody or not. They don't have to be acting like this out there, but they
yeah.
are, and they're acting above the law.
Well, Nick, I'll go let you get warm and eat and everything. You rest, you recover, and let us know if anything else comes up, man. We'll put you back on whenever you need to. But thank
God
you
bless
so
you, Jim. It's
much.
going to be an active day out there. We'll be in touch, man. Thank you
You
so much
too.
for having
God
me on.
bless you. You hang in there, bud. Thank you so much. That's my friend Nick Valencia, great journalist, just doing a wonderful job. And I'm going to try to bring in my friend Maria Cardona because she texted me just a short while ago and said, I want to talk about this. I have something to say about this. And I'm telling my friends in the pro-democracy community far and wide, if you want to come on and talk about this, let's talk about this. I'll do this a bit longer. But what Nick was saying just a few moments ago is absolutely chilling. There is no reason why a Latino journalist in this country should ever feel as though he can't be reporting from the streets of the United States. That is absolutely abhorrent. Um, it just pisses me off to hear him say that. But it is absolutely what is going on in this country right now. I think that I'm just saying something to Maria right now. Let's see here. Um, you know, it just seems to me that we're in a moment right now where something needs to happen. Donald Trump's been waiting for a spark. Stephen Miller's been waiting for a spark, but it seems to me we have seen the spark. We have been given the signal, and there needs to be action. Maria Cardona, I know you're there. Thank you so much. I know you wanted to come on and say something about this.
Oh,
I mean, your thoughts on everything that's happening right now. A 37-year-old U.S. citizen
yeah.
shot and killed. He was an intensive care nurse. His name was Alex Preddy. I mean, it looks like in the video, the guy was just flat out murdered by
Yep.
these federal agents. Once again, it's happened. It's happened again in Minneapolis.
Jim, and we texted about this because I know that you, like me and many others, are so focused on what is going on right now with the Trump killing squad. ICE has become a fucking killing squad that they have let loose in American cities to go after U.S. citizens and anyone else that they think are going to keep them from doing their quote unquote job, right? Which
Yeah,
is to
that's
get
right.
rid of people that don't look like them. And to me, it is heartbreaking. This is not the country that my parents brought my family to. This is not the country that your father brought you to. This is not
Yeah.
the country that promises that everyone can have a better life if you live and play by the rules. And let's be very clear that so far, 2 U.S. citizens have been murdered in cold blood. Murdered,
Yes.
assassinated, executed in
Yes.
front of all of our eyes, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. I know the administration is trying to spin this because they
Yeah.
are afraid that they are losing the argument, and they are losing it badly because of these horrific, violent, cruel, draconian, un-American, illegal, unconstitutional tactics,
Yeah.
murder tactics, frankly, that are going on right now as we speak. And we saw, yesterday they kidnapped a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
My goodness,
Little Liam.
what have we become in this country?
We're putting 5-year-olds in jail.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, who is a lying son of a bitch, said that they were going to go after the criminals and the gangbangers.
Right.
And they're going after the abuelos and
Mhm.
the hijos. They're
Yeah.
going after the abuelos and the hijos.
Mhm.
And it is absolutely disgusting. And I was thinking just the other day, maybe it's not smart politically, strategically to impeach him again when the Democrats get back into the House. But fuck it. It seems to me this son of a bitch is not going to stop. And it is totally fucking out of control in this country right now. And something needs to happen. Stephen Miller needs to be fired. Kristi Noem needs to be fired. Their asses need to be hauled out of office.
All of the above, Jim. But there are a couple of points that I want to make with you because I don't think they've been made enough on social media, national television, you name it. And they are points that Republicans are spinning, and they're just outright lies. The first one is that Republicans are saying, oh, well, this wouldn't be happening if local law enforcement simply would help the ICE agents do their job. That's bullshit.
Yep.
And the reason it's bullshit, Jim, is because, first of all, they say that in other places it isn't happening. In other places, ICE agents are doing their job, and it's very calm and cool, and nothing's happening. You and I know that that's crap because incidences have happened in Chicago, in Portland, in New Orleans, here in DC, everywhere where they have made their ICE agents spread out and given them a gun and said, go hunt immigrants. There have been incidences of people getting hurt, including U.S. citizens, period.
Yeah.
That's number one. The second thing is that we hear constantly, well, in Minnesota, there's a law that keeps local law enforcement from helping, ICE agents enforce the law. And on its face, that does sound like, well, maybe that shouldn't be the way that things go. And this is why I need to clarify this. As you know, I was a former communications director at what was formerly the INS.
Right.
And I have had so many agents call me, people who would have been in back then we called them interior enforcement agents, and they would have been ICE today. They say to me, Maria, what we are seeing is a grotesque monstrosity that is absolutely unlike anything we would have ever done, ever.
Correct.
Ever been allowed to do, nor would we have engaged in it because it is immoral. These are former law enforcement immigration agents saying that to me.
Yeah. And there have been sheriffs around the country. I mean, there was a sheriff in Maine the other day. There was a sheriff in Philadelphia who said this the other day. All the law enforcement professionals around the country are looking at what ICE is doing right now, and they're saying that these guys are goons. These guys are thugs. These guys are amateurs. They're bozos. They're overweight, small dick bozos. And they're taking out their aggressions because they can't get a date. They're taking out their aggressions on the American people. And it has to fucking stop. Yeah. It's just totally out of control. The little 5-year-old boy breaks my heart. The man from the Hmong community who's hauled out in his boxer shorts breaks my heart. Renee Good. Her name needs to be said. We cannot forget Renee Good. And this man, Alex Preddy, we need to keep saying it because, Maria, as you know, what Mr. Rogers used to say, find the helpers in a situation where
Exactly.
things are out of control. He was an ICU nurse. This was somebody whose life was helping other people. He was a nurse in the intensive care unit at a hospital. This is a good person. He's on the scene trying to videotape and document this. They throw him to the ground. They slam his face into the ground. They're pepper spraying. He's been subdued, and then they kill him?
Yes. That is such insanity. And an important point to make on that specific incident, Jim, because they're trying to spin it as if, well, he had a gun. He had a gun. He was carrying a holstered gun, which is
Yes.
allowed in Minneapolis.
He had a
was
license
not
to carry.
in
He had a permit.
any way, shape, or form threatening them with that gun. They are
Right.
now using that because they know they are in deep shit because they executed yet again another U.S. citizen in cold blood.
Yeah.
But there's another point that I want to make, Jim, because again, something that Republicans are trying woefully to
Yeah.
spin, and that is that, again, going back to local law enforcement. Well, local law enforcement needs to help ICE agents do their job. No, they don't, Jim. They don't need to help ICE agents do their job. But there's a very good reason for this, and this is not
Yeah.
talked about enough. The reason why many jurisdictions don't allow their local law enforcement officers to coordinate with ICE agents or with immigration agents is because in order to do their job, in order to keep the peace, in order to protect the people that they police, they need to have the trust of the community. They need to tell their people that they police on a daily basis that they have their best interest in mind, that they are
Yeah.
not going around behind their back and telling ICE agents where to find people who might be there without papers. Now, there's a caveat to this, and this was said today in the press conference that Governor Walz had, and it's a very important caveat.
Yeah.
When there are criminal, violent offenders that are undocumented and that the immigration agents are going after, and they ask help from local police, absolutely local police will be there 1,000% of the time to help them go after those violent offenders. There's no
Yeah.
question about that, okay? So when Republicans say to anyone who's listening to this that local law enforcement is not allowed to coordinate with ICE agents and they are letting violent criminals loose, that is an absolute bullshit lie. It is not
Yes.
true, okay? So they don't coordinate on a daily basis because they don't want the ICE agents to be going after the abuelitos and the abuelitas and the 5-year-olds and the single moms and
Yeah.
the workers that work at a hotel or the police officers even. We've had police officers in Minneapolis being detained, for God's sake.
Right. They're arresting the cops.
Yes,
And so they're saying, "Oh, please,
Yeah.
we want the local law enforcement to help us out." They want the local law enforcement to help them oppress the community.
correct.
And so if you're the mayor of Minneapolis, you're gonna say, "Fuck that, no way." I mean, you're not gonna wanna do that. Uh, and you don't want their civil rights abuses to become your department's civil rights abuses. The mayor and the governor, there in Minneapolis and Minnesota, they don't want to, to take that on and be
Right.
sued by citizens of their community and be hated by citizens of their community because they're working with Stephen Miller and JD Vance and these pieces of shit that are running that agency. Absolutely disgraceful. Maria, the other thing I got to ask you before we wrap this up is, there was a vote the other day to continue to fund DHS.
Mm.
And there were 7 Democrats who voted in favor of it. And I've heard all well, they're in a swing district and we got to win back the House and everything. It seems to me we're not in that moment. We're not in the moment where we need to parse like, oh, well,
No.
we need 5% over here and this
No.
district over there and this person's retiring. Enough is fucking enough.
That's right.
This shit is out of control, right?
That is absolutely right, Jim. No Democrat, and frankly, if any Republican wants to have a prayer of surviving the midterm elections in November, they also should not be voting for this horrific funding bill, which gives this this now ICE killer squad more money to, essentially go after U.S. citizens, go after folks who have no criminal record, do it unconstitutionally, breaking the law, do it criminally. They are completely unaccountable. And every Democrat in the Senate now, I hope, will have the backbone to vote no on this, to vote no with additional funding until these killer ICE thugs, agents stand down, until Trump has them stand down. And
because the question is,
right?
Yeah, I mean, the question is, Maria, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some Republicans in the Senate, like, the Fisk guy. What was the Fisk guy from Missouri?
Yes, Josh Hawley.
Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe votes with the Democrats on this, Rand Paul.
No,
Because
Maria,
you and I have been around politics long enough to know this, that, I just asked the Republicans, imagine life with the shoe on the other foot. President Gavin Newsom comes into office. He also says that I have the immunity decision so I can do whatever I want. And DHS says all you need is an administrative warrant to go into people's homes. And if you have a permit to carry a gun, that shit doesn't matter anymore. Apparently, if you look at the case, what happened today. Do Republicans want a Gavin Newsom administration to run wild the way that the Democrats are doing right? Or that the Republicans are doing right now? It seems like you don't. It seems like you don't want that to happen, but they don't look at it that way.
And that's what they need to ask themselves, right? Because pretty soon the shoe is going to be on the other foot. And this is where Republicans need to think hard about how they're going to find their backbone, how they're going to find their cojones and stand up to this insidious, unlawful, criminal, violent, unconstitutional behavior and call it out. Because to your point at the very beginning, we are not in the same political paradigm that we might have been even 2 or 3 years ago, where people in swing districts could say, well, I need to be careful about what I say because the independents. No, bullshit. We've seen in the recent polls, Jim, you've seen this, we've talked about this. Independents are the ones that are disgusted by this, along with the vast majority of Democrats and even some Republicans who are disgusted by what they are seeing, by this ICE out of control, by the zero accountability about what they're doing on our streets to our children, to our neighbors, to our seniors, to our grandparents, to everyone who is out there bearing witness as to what's happening, right? They are taking them down, literally assassinating them, executing them in cold blood.
Terrible.
And we cannot let this stand. None of us who love this country, who know what it is actually about, what it stands for, the values that this country stands for, we cannot stand for this. We have to stand up and speak out. Every single one of us has that responsibility. And for people who are elected officials, every single Democrat out there, they cannot vote for this DHS funding bill. It is one of the few levers that we have because we don't have power, as you know. We don't control the House. We don't control the Senate. Hopefully that will change in November. But right now we have to use the levers of power that we have. And we have that power to say no to this continuation of funding this killer squad that is out there doing harm and murdering U.S. citizens.
That's right. You said it perfectly. And when you talk about cojones, there are some women out there with more cojones than some of the guys. The guys at ICE seem to have the smallest cojones that I've ever witnessed in my life covering politics, because
or any at all.
If you're working in this agency, you should be telling your supervisors, I am anti-murder. I am not pro-murder. I am anti-murder. And what they're doing right now is just blowing people away. It is absolutely a travesty, and it makes me sick. It makes me sick to see this unfold. And the way Trump is going after Minneapolis, he's doing it out of spite and for petty, childish reasons. He doesn't like Tim Walz. He's pissed that he lost the state 3 times, even though he lies and says there's so much disgusting psychology that's going on here that is just really it's just awful to think about. But it seems to me you're absolutely right. I mean, Democrats have to draw a line. Enough with this. Well, what if we lose this district or that district? It's now all hands on deck. Our country is on the line. This democracy is on the line. But thank you, Maria. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Jim. As always, gracias, amigo mío, and hope to be on with you again soon to continue bearing witness to this and calling it
Absolutely.
out as you
Thank
do
you.
so well.
Thank you, Maria. You too. You as well. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you so much. You're the best. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you as well. Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Well, I'm going to try to bring in maybe one more person here. I think Olivia might be standing by, and then I saw Michael Fanone was watching. He did message me and said he's at the store, so he can't do it right now. We love Mike, but he can't do it. So for folks who are wondering about that, that's what's going on there. I'll try to bring in Olivia for one last perspective on this, but it seems to me that, with this DHS funding bill moving over to the Senate, I mean, this is a very big moment for Democrats and the Senate. This is a very big moment for the leadership of the Democrats in the Senate. We have to stop the politics of going along to get along. The politics of, well, if I vote for this, you'll vote for that. It's not about that right now. Olivia Troy is joining me now. Olivia, you and I were texting each other earlier. What are your thoughts on what we've witnessed today? They've identified this man who was shot and killed, U.S. citizen, 37-year-old Alex Preddy, and apparently he was an intensive care unit nurse. And if you look at all the videos, I haven't been showing them here, but folks can find them on social media. It looked like he posed no threat to these ICE agents. It's clear.
Yeah, I'm very curious about the one woman that we see filming it in the videos that we've seen, and I'm wondering. I hope first that she remains safe, and also, that you have a firsthand witness right there with a clear bird's eye view. And
Clear.
when I have watched that video, unfortunately, repeatedly because I was trying to process another shooting by ICE and trying to understand what had happened. And I will say that, like, just watching it, it doesn't appear that there was a need for that engagement to have happened the way it did.
Yeah.
And for how it went down. And so, while we don't have all the details, I will say, though, that the one thing that I have been thinking about this entire afternoon and in the time period since it's happened is just watching basically the federal government turn on its own people. That's what this is. And I thought Tim Walz did a very good job in his remarks and the message that he was trying to get across to people. And I do think that he's right. I do think that most Americans watching this are not okay with what is taking place here.
Yeah. Yeah, and for folks who want to see the video for themselves, I've put it on my social media. I've posted the pink lady video as she's been described, and the original video that came out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to see it, you can go see it on my Instagram. I'm not going to play it here and play it over and over again, excessively. We don't need to see somebody killed in cold blood over and over and over again.
For a second time.
Yeah, for a second time. 2 weeks after the killing of Renee Good, few days after ICE arrested a 5-year-old boy and put him in jail. I mean, this is totally nonstop craziness. It's all flowing out of Stephen Miller, it seems to me. You know Stephen.
Absolutely.
From the first administration. And Donald Trump, because he's in declining cognitive health, it seems like it's just all bets are off. And the people who want to do the most dangerous, sinister things around him are now allowed to do that full throttle.
I don't think he's actually running the country right now. I don't think he's actually in charge of what is happening here. I think this is a Stephen Miller operation that we're seeing. He's too busy. I think Trump is too busy focusing on showing the Melania movie tonight, apparently, that he's hosting, where he really should be focused on what is happening right now in the streets of our country. And I think these people that are out there that are showing up in this bitter cold absolutely should continue to show up and document. Stay peaceful, but I think it's incredibly important to document what is happening here because I think we need to keep people accountable, and it may not happen in the moment, but keep documenting.
That's such a great point. It's such a great point. And it seems to me, if you look at the video, it looks as the pink lady video, as it's being called. Forgive me for using that vernacular, but it looks as though what the ICE agents are doing in this particular video, and we've seen this in a few other instances that have been documented, is they're trying to stop observers from getting video of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And they're
Yeah, and they
losing their
want to do
shit.
that. Exactly. And they're getting upset and they're getting angry. But hey, listen, we have the absolute right to document. We have the absolute right to film things. I mean,
That's right.
It is within their right to bear witness to what is happening here, especially in a moment like this in this country when the federal law enforcement apparatus is out of control, Jim. And I say that as someone who served at Homeland Security for a very long time.
Yeah.
This is not Homeland Security or law enforcement, as many have stated, right? I mean, if you have been in this community, you know that this is crossing the line and it's actually endangering people is what it's doing. And so what these people are doing out there, they're saying, get out of our state. And the federal government needs to respect that. And I would hope that they would. But like you said, I think this is Stephen Miller's dream. And this is the kind of country that he wants. He wants those images of fear. And so I don't know what the next step will be. I don't see them leaving, given the press conference we saw today from the head of CBP at Border Patrol and like the statements that we're seeing from the administration. It doesn't seem like they are actually going to do the responsible thing for U.S. leadership and actually abide and really work with the community there to really bring down the temperature there. This is awful.
Yeah. You know, this is not Homeland Security. This is Homeland terrorism. And the cruelty is the point. The fear is the point. The terror is the point. They don't want the people on the streets documenting this stuff. They think if they ratchet up the fear and the terror, that people will stay in their homes. Like you see what happens in Russia. I mean, you know, this is not about funding ICE. It's not about funding DHS right now. This is about whether we're going to fund a secret police in this country, a Putin-like thugocracy secret police that can just beat the shit and kill people in cold blood without any accountability whatsoever. And what separates the United States from places like Russia and other authoritarian regimes like that is we used to not have that here. We're not supposed to have that here. The people are supposed to be in charge of the law enforcement and the government and the people with the guns, not the other way around.
Yeah, and I'll say this, you know, there's a lot of terminology to being thrown around by the leadership and the federal government right now, especially at DHS. And they're saying, oh, well, these were trained people. These are trained agents. I will say they have not produced at scale the kind of operations that they are doing right now in the streets.
Yeah.
And so I'd say we are in uncharted territory here. And so I think that I think that, you know, they need to be reined in because the dynamics here and the behavior and the characteristics that they are exhibiting are truly actually un-American to what we know to be, right? Of what this is, of an operation like this. And it's just awful.
It is awful.
And there will be more. We said this a few weeks ago. I said that this would happen again, and here we are. And there will be more until this type of police wars. I've heard people call them Gestapo, and that's really how they're operating right now. So I can't think of a better term for them right now. But until this dynamic gets toned down, I think we're going to continue to see this, unfortunately.
I think you're right. And people need to understand Olivia worked for the first Trump administration, Republican, somebody who, you know, believes in a restrained government state. I mean, that is supposed to be the ideology of conservative Republicans. Don't tread on me, that the government can't come after us like this. And you know, to me, it takes me back to what Stuart Stevens has said. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. It just seems to me that a lot of Republicans, it was all a lie. And, you know, what is happening to this country? It is just absolutely, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to see this unfold. But Olivia, thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Good to see you again. Thank you so much, Olivia. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you too. It really is. My friend Olivia Troy there. Folks, I got to wrap this up, but you know, listen, it was important for me to jump on with you today. I hope I didn't get too hot under the collar in my comments, and I want to be judicious in my comments too, and what I'm seeing and how I'm reporting on this and how I'm talking about this. But I'm pissed, guys. I am pissed. I am seething. I'm seething right now. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm angry. I'm furious, outraged. And I want to be judicious. I want to be thoughtful in this moment. But it seems to me that what we're seeing right now, it should boil the blood of every good American. What we're seeing right now in the streets should boil the blood of every good American. And my blood is boiling right now, ladies and gentlemen. It is I'm about to blow. I'm just absolutely sickened by this. There's a man in Minneapolis who is dead today. He should be walking around and alive right now. But he was killed in cold blood by our government. And it seems to me that something has got to give. Something has to give. And you've heard me pop off here, and um, and I certainly feel like doing that right now. But I just want to say that in my heart of hearts, deep down, what I'm thinking at this moment is I am going to be thinking deeply and praying deeply for this country this weekend. I'm going to be just thinking and praying and searching my thoughts to see if I can find the words to articulate what is going through my mind right now. Because I don't want to say what I think I'm feeling in my heart right now, which is that we are being betrayed as Americans. We are being betrayed as citizens of this country that I've always felt so proud to be a citizen of. And as Maria was saying earlier, my father, he came to this country from Cuba in 1962, 3 weeks before the Cuban Missile Crisis. I can't imagine him coming to this country as a little boy and being terrorized by the government the way little children are being terrorized by the government now. I can't imagine him being ripped away from his mother the way the little children are being ripped away from their mothers now. I I I didn't think I would see a moment come to pass in this country where just ordinary citizens, regular citizens, good Americans, good citizens take to the streets and want to film and document what is taking place as observers, as constitutionally protected observers being killed in cold blood in this country. I didn't think we'd see this moment, but this is where we are. And it seems to me is that this is a spark, this is a turning point in this country, what we're seeing right now, folks. We're in the middle of it. We're feeling it. We're seeing it in real time. It is time for the people of this country to rise up. It is time for the people of this country to say no more. It is time for the people of this country to say, we're not going to take it anymore. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore because we love this country too much. I want to thank everybody who joined me today, and Maritza, Nick, Maria, and Olivia. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Please spend some time thinking deeply about what we could do for this country. If you pray, say a prayer. My fear is it's going to get worse before it gets better, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. God bless. See you next time.